Hi, I'm Joy from Dollface Bath and Beauty, and I'm going to show you how to make Orange Dream bath bombs today. So I have everything already set up. I measured out all of my ingredients ahead of time just to save a little bit of time. So the first thing we do is you take a bowl with a sifter. I've got 2 cups of baking soda already measured, and I'm just going to sprinkle that into the strainer. And why I'm doing that is I'm sifting for any clumps. We don't want to have any clumps in our mix, and it just helps to break up some of the air bubbles that get trapped in the baking soda. So that's the 2 cups of baking soda in the bowl. And now I'm taking 1 cup of citric acid, and I'm going to do the same thing. Pour it into the strainer. Shake it in. And this is also breaking up the clumps in the citric acid. And the citric acid is what makes your bath bomb fizz. So I'm going to take my whisk, and now I'm just going to mix the 2 dry ingredients together. This is just to mix them and make sure every little last lumps are all whisked out. Okay, so it looks like that when you're done. Now in here I have 1 tablespoon of coconut oil and 1 tablespoon of grapeseed oil. And my ingredients don't have any water-based ingredients in them, so it won't set off my fizzing. So I'm just going to pour those right in there. I'm wearing gloves, so it's okay to kind of get in there and get every bit of the product out. So now I'm just going to mix up the dry ingredients with the wet ingredients. And I'm just working until all the clumps are out, until it looks like everything has become moistened. And that's usually about a minute or so. You kind of want to work it with your hands. Don't mind getting in there. You've got gloves on, so you know your hands aren't getting dirty. So don't be afraid to get in there. Really work those clumps out. Make sure everything, all of your dry ingredients become moistened. And this is what your product is going to look like once it's mixed with the coconut oil and the grapeseed oil. But we're not done. Now I'm going to be adding 1 teaspoon of fragrance oil, and this is Dreamsicle from Indigo Fragrance, and this is a company that I truly love. I get most of my fragrances from them. They're uncut, undiluted. They're very strong. They're good. You can find them on Etsy, or you can go to indigofragrance.com and you can find them there. So like I said, I'm going to add 1 teaspoon of this fragrance of Dreamsicle. Just going to pour that right in there. Put my cap back on here. Just kind of tap the rest of that out. And then I'm just going to mix this in with those ingredients. And this smells really good. It's very citrusy orange smell. Very light, not overpowering, but yet you can smell the oranges and it's really good. So I'm just mixing that in, just like I did with the coconut oil and the grapeseed oil. Just making sure all the particles in my bowl get mixed in really good so that they all smell. And this particular fragrance oil is like an orangey yellow, so it did leave my mix a little orange yellow. So it was easy for me to make sure that I got everything mixed because I could see. Next thing I'm going to take is Neon Orange. It's a food dye, but it's a gel. It's not a liquid. And I'm just going to, because this doesn't really come out in drops, it comes out more in like a squirt. I'm just going to put in about 3 to 4 little squirts. So you can see them right here in the middle. Now I'm just going to do the same thing I've been doing and just work it in. Now as you're working, see if you can see this, there'll be little clumps of dye. Don't worry about it. The more you work it in, the more the clumps break down, and you'll have one solid color instead of speckles. So I'm going to work it between my hands. That kind of helps to break the dye in a little bit faster. And again, because this is a colored dye, I can see in my bowl that some spots or some parts of the sodium bicarbonate and the citric acid are still kind of like a yellowish white. So I know that they didn't get mixed in with the dye yet. So I'll just keep going until I've noticed that they have turned orange. And it takes about a minute and a half. You want to make sure you have no speckles left, or your bath bombs are going to look speckly. And we don't want that. We want one solid color. So that looks about good here. I don't have much speckling. In fact, I don't really see. I see maybe 1 or 2, but that's fine. And it's turned orange, as you can see. And I can still smell the Dreamsicle fragrance. It's still strong. It did not evaporate or change any bit when I added the dye. So now, if you can see, my mixture is still a little crumbly, a little flaky. I need to add a little bit of liquid, which is witch hazel, to get my bath bombs to stick. So I'm just going to take that and I'm just going to apply a few squirts, and then I'm just going to go in here and I'm just going to mix that up really good. Scoop the sides of the bowl. Make sure I get all of that witch hazel. And we're using witch hazel instead of water because water activates the citric acid fizz and witch hazel doesn't. So we're just going to mix that up into all of the dry ingredients. We're going to take a test, and you can see it's still kind of crumbly. And so I'm going to take just a little bit more witch hazel here. And you don't want to add too much witch hazel because that too can start the citric acid fizz. And we definitely don't want that. So I'm just going to get in there and just mix this all up. Make sure all of my dry ingredients have become moist. Do another test. Still a little crumbly. So I'm going to try a little bit more witch hazel. I live in Northern California where we're in the 100-degree weather. I do have the air conditioner on, but it's still very dry here. So sometimes it takes a little bit more witch hazel than it may take in the East Coast, where it's a little bit cooler in temperature and where it's a little more humid. So now I've done another test and my product is solid. So I know I'm good now. These things out of our way. So now we're going to go on to making the bath bomb itself. So what I use is Christmas molds. They're like ornaments that you can buy at Michael's, Hobby Lobby, Joann's, places like that. So what I did is I took some orange sugar sprinkles and put them in the bottom of just one. And I'm just going to add the dry ingredients in, and I'm going to lightly pack them in to one side. And then I'm going to take the other side and do the same thing, just slightly pack it in until we formed a complete mold. Then I'm going to take the top and I just put it on top of the other half, squeeze really good, squeeze it down so that the mold top and bottom are touching. Now I'm just going to tap on the top of the mold. So I've released the bath bomb from the mold, but it still has its bottom piece on. So I'm just going to set it here on its wax paper and let it dry for about 10 minutes before I unmold the bottom. So then I'm just going to do that again. I've got the sugar sprinkles in the top. Just going to add my mixture. Pack it in. And then I'm going to take my bottom. And I'm just going to do the same thing. Add my mixture. Pack it in. And then add my top. Press it really hard till the top and the bottom meet. Tap my top to release the bath bomb from the mold. Squeeze my sides gently and lift up. And there's bath bomb number 2. So I'm going to go ahead and continue to make these, but I'll let them sit for 10 minutes and then I'll come back and show you the unmolded bath bombs. Okay, so it's been about 10 minutes now that I've let my bath bombs sit in their mold. So I'm ready to take the bottom out. So what you do is gently roll it over so that the mold is now on top. And the same thing, you're just going to tap just like we did to the top of the mold, releasing the air. Gently squeeze the sides and pull up. And there's your bath bomb. Do one more. Gently roll it over. Tap on the bottom. Gently squeeze the sides and pull up. And there you have it. Orange Dream bath bombs. Thank you for watching.